Adventure Angler is brought to you by Club Marine Insurance and Daiwa Fishing Tackle. I'm here in Colorado in the USA, and with me is Frank Smethurst, international fly fishing guru. Now, I have no idea where Frank's brought me to here. Looks like the high country, and I don't even know what I'm here to do. Frank, what's this all about?
Well, Micah, what this is about is I'm going to bring you to one of my great secret spots to catch the native trout of Colorado. That's a Colorado River cutthroat trout. And these days, Colorado cutthroats live in the high country. They're in very secret spots that we hold very closely, so that's why all the cloak and dagger secrecy, but you know how fishermen are.
Okay, so the cutthroat is the native to the Rocky Mountains as well. We're going to use tiny little 2-weight Scott fly rods.
Yep.
And evidently we're going to walk about an hour into the wilderness.
Yes. Lead on.
Sounds pretty good. There's always an air of mystery and intrigue when a fellow angler reveals to you his lifelong secret fishing spot. I see it as a personal invitation to take a look into their angling origins, their motivation for fishing, and to explore a place that undoubtedly has captured a part of their heart. And as I follow Frank along a narrow path deep in the Rocky Mountains, it's evident why he would fall in love with this place. Every step we take, the pristine alpine forest slowly opens to reveal stunning mountain meadows full of lush grass and wildflowers, and of course, small flowing streams. It's an idyllic trout fisherman's paradise, but more importantly, its waters are home to a species I've always heard stories and seen pictures of, but have yet to catch. I'm hoping that with Frank's guidance, this will change today.
All right, so we see a really nice cutthroat down here in this pool, right above a log. It's kind of a tricky spot. Micah's gonna sneak around down below the fish and try and flip a cast around the stick and right in front of the fish, and hopefully he'll grab it. He's feeding like crazy. This is awesome.
How cool is this?
Hey, Micah, I'm gonna throw you the net.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
This is so cool. I'm here in the high country in Colorado. First time on cutthroat, the native Rocky Mountain trout. The first cutthroat we see, I tie on an Australian fly or a New Zealand fly, a blowfly humpy. This is potentially the first cutthroat ever caught on a blowfly humpy, a New Zealand pattern. And I'm using
Look at that fish.
a little Scott glass rod.
Is that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
Incredible, isn't it?
Give me some of that. I can't believe the blowfly humpy worked. I was talking some smack back up there. I was like, he's never gonna bite that. He's never gonna. Way to prove me wrong.
First cast, how good is that? Little 6-foot glass rod.
Okay, let me see the line.
Doesn't get any better, does it?
Oh, buddy.
Wow. Isn't this a special little fish? A Colorado cutthroat trout. Isn't he just outstanding? I'll just see if I can pick this guy up. These guys are one of the more iconic species, really. Isn't that just a beautiful little specimen? Probably about 11 or 12 inches of cutthroat trout. You can just see those really amazing black spots right through to the tail, darker coloration. As Frank said, the scales are really, really fine, but the big thing is that red pattern underneath his throat, hence the cutthroat. He's really just an outstanding little fish. You can see that fly there, that's the blowfly humpy, a fly that I've done a lot of damage on Australian and New Zealand big trophy trout. They said it would never work over here, but evidently it's a bit of a killer. What a beautiful fish. I'm going to give him a little breather in the water. What's really cool about this experience for me is not only travelling to all the way here to the US and Colorado to catch one of these fish that I'd heard about all of my life, but to do it with this rod. It's a fiberglass rod from Scott. It's still a current model, but in the 70s, the Scott Fly Rod Company revolutionised the fly fishing world when they brought out the best fiberglass rod known to man. And that kind of just changed the way fly fishing was done, basically. And now to be here and to use a glass 6-foot rod on one of these cutthroats, it's pretty cool. I'm going to get this little blowfly humpy out. I'm going to let this guy go, I think. Alright, I'm just going to get this guy back into the water.
Micah, just let him rest right there at the edge. He's fine.
It's a beautiful morning in a secret alpine meadow, and my good friend Frank Smethurst has just guided me to my very first cutthroat trout. So Frank's up now, he's having a turn, and this really is the essence of tiny stream fly fishing. This stream's barely a rod length wide, in fact it's not even a rod length most of the time, and we're just picking off our shots. Nice short cast, which is why these shorter fly rods are working well for us. Back home in Australia, we don't get too much of this stuff. Maybe the very top of Kosciuszko, that high altitude, small stream or tiny stream fishing. It's pretty limited. Right now we're up here on Colorado. We're at about 11 to 12,000 feet, so the air's a little bit thinner than I'm used to on the coast. But these beautiful cutthroat trout, they just love it up here.
There he is. Got him.
Well done, Frank.
All right. Hey, buddy. Oh, God, look at how colorful he is. Hi. All right. Wow, this is kind of the big guy of the pool right here. And now our little wigglers, they don't calm down as much as a big trout. There, and just look at that coloration and see how heavily spotted they are towards the tail. Similar spots to a rainbow, but really very heavy at the tail and not very much up front.
Just want to take a little minute just to run through some of the flies that we're using here on these cutthroat trout. I've got this nice little C&F box here, and it's basically my dry fly hub. I've got these little containers here that have tiny little spinners and duns and little midge balls, and then I've got some bigger dries over here. Now what's really cool about these dries is they'll kind of work anywhere in the world, just about any time. So it's a really all-round box of flies that I can use in Australia, New Zealand, and of course now I'm here in Colorado and they're working just fine here as well. The really cool thing that's happening here at the moment with these cutthroat is that Frank there, having quite a lot of cutthroat, is using a bit of a classic pattern. It's a trude, which is kind of like it's almost like an Adams type with a big white wing and quite a small pattern. And that seems to be better suited to these fish. Now, I'm normally the stubborn type, so I thought, no, I'm not going to use Frank's suggestion. There's a fly in Australia and New Zealand. It's quite a new fly, and Manic Tackle have invented it. A mate of mine called Renee Vaz. And it's this blowfly humpy. It's like basically a classic humpy pattern. Nice big white yarn there so I can see the fly, tied as a parachute form. You can see it looks like basically a blowfly. Pretty cool fly, really. Now, Frank was dubious. He said it's not going to work. Unfortunately, it's worked really, really well for me. And I've caught a lot of fish on this fly in Australia and New Zealand, and it's worked really, really well here this morning as well on these Colorado cutthroat trout.
Whoa! Oh my God. This is a nice, big Colorado River cutthroat. And the neat thing is Micah and I had seen him rising in this pool back behind me. I circled around back upstream and just sort of snaked a little soft hackle down there, a wet fly. And I was tugging it around, and Micah was doing a little thing on what flies we were doing. And all of a sudden, wham, he shot out from an undercut, grabbed the fly, and started going back in every single one of these little holes. And while he was, all these other fish were flashing out. And it was just this crazy little project. And I'm pulling on him and trying not to lose him. And anyhow, one of the things that's really beautiful, if you can see here, is as they mature, they really start to lose their spots up towards the front of the fish, and they become really enlarged back there towards the tail. Look at that amazing marking back there towards the tail of this fish. All right, great fish. Caught the hard way, and I'm gonna turn her beautiful self loose. Woo!
With both our New Zealand and American flies getting plenty of bites, Frank and I set off up the meadow in search of more Colorado cutthroat trout.
They like it. Oh, I missed that too. They like it. Nice.
This is just such cool fishing. Just an outstanding little cutthroat trout. Beautiful fishing. Just pull this quite large fly. There we go. How good is that?
Okay, I'm just gonna boost this beautiful cutthroat up here out of the water to me. Hey buddy, I'm gonna hold him upside down so he just kind of relaxes. I take that little bitty dry fly out. There he is, whoa. Sploosh.
Wow, what a stunning fish this one is. Have a look at this. Beautiful cutthroat trout. Isn't that just amazing? That iconic orange slash underneath their gills. That's around about 13.5 inches. Obviously my best cutthroat, obviously. Just a beautiful fish. You can see that blowfly humpy there in his mouth. He's pretty keen to get back in the water, so what I might do is just get that humpy out and get this beautiful little guy back into this high altitude mountain stream. All right, mate. International fly fishing guru Frank Smethurst is guiding me on an epic adventure to one of his secret trout locations deep in the Rocky Mountains in West Colorado. Equipped with only a few flies and a 2-weight glass Scott fly rod, we've managed to pluck a number of the area's endemic trout species, the cutthroat, from the small mountain stream. Now, with plenty of fish under our belt, Frank and I are enjoying the afternoon sun and leisurely fishing our way further up the alpine meadow.
Good shot.
The blowfly.
The blowfly.
What do we think of the blowfly?
I think I don't think you're going back to Australia with a bunch of them.
So I'm getting on the Manic Tackle order form and pre-ordering, am I?
Yeah, I'm going to need a few of those.
Yeah, you will. I will leave you
Because I
some
know I
blowflies.
can't buy them here. Great fish, Micah. That was awesome. Ooh, that's a good one.
How cool is that? Beautiful little cutthroat. I just love these big black spots just near the tail wrist and then that tail full of spots. And as Frank said, not too many up top here. They're really a beautiful little species.
You know, one of the things that is so wonderful about cutthroats, they're so special. They're like a tropical fish that lives in the mountains. You know, they're really colorful and ornate and really different looking from the other trout. And when you chase cutthroats, you end up going to some of the most pristine wilderness locations throughout the American West. It's such a great fish. Yeah, look at Micah. He's just having a time of his life.
Oh, that was cool. Really cool pocket water in here. Quite technical, to be honest. You know, this 6-foot rod doesn't give me a lot of direction in my cast, but that one I'm really proud of, to be honest. Had to put it right in a tight spot, and I've learned a little trick off Frank, and that is some of these terrestrials can be twitched on the top. There's a nice little pocket in there, and right when I got to the money spot, just a little twitch of the blowfly there, and this guy just came out. What's really nice about these fish, I find, when browns and rainbows take a dry, they come up straight really slowly and they just keep their line, their profile in the water. I find with these guys, when you're watching them, they really just shoulder out of the water. And so by doing so, you see these golden flanks of theirs reflect in the sun. You know you're going to get a bite even before they've broken the surface. It's absolutely beautiful. Oh, what a beautiful little specimen this guy is. Just extraordinary nice looking fish, aren't they? Got that little blowfly hump in there. As you can see, I've only just used the one fly today. Tied that little New Zealand special at the start of the day and haven't had to change. It's been just fantastic for me. All right, mate, off you go. All day I've been using my New Zealand pattern to great success, the blowfly humpy. So, after changing location for what would surely be the last time on this trip, Frank finally seems to be getting on board.
All right, so I just tied on this blowfly humpy, Micah's Australian and New Zealand humpy. It's been working really well. And I can see this really tricky spot up here. You know, there's a fish up in this grass where the creek gets the tightest. And it's a very tricky cast, but if I sneak up there, I think I can tag this fish that I've seen moving in there. I knew that if I splatted something down up in that narrow gap, the creek gets to be about 2 feet wide. And I just barely snuck a fly up in there and he grabbed it. Such a cool fish. Look at that. There's the blowfly humpy, straight from Australia, across the seas to catch a Colorado River cutthroat. That's cool.
Frank, I actually don't know how to tell you this, man, but I just left you for the last 20 minutes there. I went upstream by about, I don't know, 100 metres, got into a little zone, and mate, I've just had the most epic cutthroat bite of all time. You know, it was just unbelievable. In that 20 minutes, I landed 9 up to 13 inches. There was multiple 12-inch ones. It was just incredible, and I reckon I missed maybe 15 as well. I didn't get the hooks in there doing cartwheels. It was unbelievable, mate, to be honest. At one stage, the river was so narrow, it was about this wide and it was overgrown, that I couldn't actually see my blowfly humpy. I was literally relying on my ears to hear the rise and then strike. It was cool. That was a 12-inch fish. It was just amazing. You know, I've been fly fishing.
You're using the force.
Using the force, it was with me. I've been fly fishing, Frank, for a bit over 25 years. I'm a reasonable caster, and yet using this slow glass rod today, this 6-footer, it's actually taught me to cast again, which is kind of cool. I recommend it. It's just taught me about, I guess, sort of balance and timing, and it's been a remarkable thing. I've loved it. And you know, I've been able to fish in a lot of countries and catch a lot of cool fish. I'm going to rate today, Frank, as one of the greatest days I've ever had fly fishing, mate. So
wow.
Thanks.
Hey, I'm so glad you liked it. Well, you know, we walked forever to get in here. We're going to have to walk forever to get out.
Let's get to it.
All right.
What a treat, mate. Good on you.